Loneliness. Loneliness is not a bad word. It's a word that nobody wants to hear because everybody wants to be with someone to share their life with. Learn to be satisfied in Jesus and to use the time of being alone or single to get to know you and to know the will of God and that He has for you. You don't have to be with someone to have a fulfilled life. Love yourself enough to get into the things that God has for you and to start doing things out of your will and the will that God has for you. Be happy and satisfied with Jesus. Learn to be happy with being alone. Loneliness is not a bad word. Loneliness could be a good thing because sometimes you have to be alone to hear from God, to be in that place of stillness so that God can speak to you and so that He can use you and to equip you and to prepare you and to sometimes stretch you so that He can break some things in you so that He can shape you and mold you. So sometimes you have to be in that still and maybe sometimes uncomfortable place of loneliness for God to really move and for you to receive the love of God. But when you get to a place where you feel loneliness is a bad thing, then you get desperate and you do things out of desperation. Then you do things that you would never do. You start to compromise. You become needy and you lose self-control. When people around you can sense that you're needy and that you're lonely, you will sometimes attract those people to you that will start to treat you as if you're not who you really are and treat you worse than what you really deserve to be treated because you attract the negative to you instead of being confident and happy knowing that you don't need anyone to validate and to confirm who you are or to have a mate just because everyone that you see it has a man or is married or in relationships. Maybe that's not what God's will is for you right now. So don't take loneliness as being a bad thing. Make a choice that will affect you and affect the things that you do. Stop looking at other people, your girlfriends and people that are around you just because everybody's getting married. Maybe that's not God's will for you at the time. God has a season and a time for everything. So learn to be happy even in your loneliness. Sometimes you want to be with someone and that's all understandable, but maybe not right now. And maybe you will push people away from you that maybe is really good for you because you're acting too needy at the time. Sometimes God will have you to be by yourself to work on you. So always remember that sometimes being lonely is just being in a season that God has for you so that He can fill you with His power so that strongholds won't come and overtake you, so that you won't have issues and so that you won't be so weighted down for when that person that God does have for you to come, that you'll be totally whole and that you can be a helpmate and a completer to that person instead of being a distraction or a pull down or a tear down because you got so many issues with you because you're the person that can't be by yourself or feels like you can't be by yourself. Sometimes you have to get to a place where you pray and ask God to fill that emptiness in you. God said that He will never leave you nor forsake you, that He will always take care of you. Even when your mother and father forsake you, He will always be there. He will be your comforter. He will be there for you in your times of loneliness. So always think and pray when you get to a feeling of I'm alone or are you feeling by yourself. Just know that God loves you and that your loneliness is just a time for God to prepare you for your season of your blessing.